Okay, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions and then answer them to the best of your ability.
Okay.
Start with the first question. Where did you live? Urban, suburban, rural community?
I lived in a rural community, small town, out in the middle of Kansas.
And the name of that town?
So the name of the town is Claflin, Kansas.
Did you have like a lot of stores or
Okay, we had like one grocery store and elementary school, middle school, and a high school. We had a small library. We had a furniture store. We had a little movie theater for a while, and a newspaper, and a post office. And of course, gas station.
The next question. What is the story of your family in America? Has your family been there for generations, a few decades?
Okay, so my grandparents came from Austria and Czechoslovakia when they were children, so they weren't born in America. They were born across in Europe, and they traveled across when they were small children. And they lived in sod houses when they came here, which was underground houses, made with sod roofs. And so they have not been in America for, generations and generations.
Okay. What would you characterize the social class you grew up in?
Okay, so my parents lived through the Depression, so we kind of grew up with a very conservative social class. My mom made everything. We had homemade this, homemade that. We lived very humble means. We had what we needed, but we didn't really have a lot of extra things.
So they're probably more like middle class, but
they were middle
conservative
class
with their money.
Yeah, they were more middle class to poor. That's how I was raised.
Has there been any stories passed down to you by your grandparents or uncles, aunts, ancestors?
Okay, well, there was not a lot of stories passed down that I can remember. I mean, my mom used to tell me about her life on the farm because they raised everything they ate. And my father, his family lived in Claflin their life, but when he went to World War II, he was assigned under General Patton, and there was very few men that could be stenographers and type and things like that. So he knew every order that Patton sent out before anybody else because he had to type it all out. So he knew a lot of intelligence in World War II because that's what he did. But that's kind of an interesting story. But he never shared that with us. It came from an uncle because they were very proud of their not talking about things, and he honored the country by not telling anybody about his experiences, and he could have shared that, but he never did.
It's more like a loyalty thing.
Yeah, he was real loyal. A real American.
How are you expected to interact with authority figures? Like teachers, elders?
We were always taught to be respectful to everyone, especially authority figures, teachers, anything that was older than us. It was just a known fact. I mean, we never challenged that ever, because that's what we did.
Okay. Were you allowed to question or talk back to adults?
No, we never questioned adults. We never talked back. We were seen and not heard, and whatever they said is what we did.
How are you to address an adult?
How did I address?
Yes, if you were going to talk to them, could you call them by their first name?
No, it would be Mr. or Mrs. or Miss, and we wouldn't talk unless we were asked.
Were you allowed to call your parents by their first names?
No, we never even thought of that.
How does your family culture view decision making?
We were very thorough thinkers. We would, before a decision was made, we would think about every possible option, and it was never an immediate decision. It was always a very well thought out process, and it maybe even took days or weeks, if possible, to make a decision.
I got 2 more questions. How does your family culture believe in a higher power?
We were raised very religious, and that was always a priority in our family.
Were your grandparents really religious?
Grandparents were very religious also, and it's passed down from them to my parents, and then to me.
Explain your family's relationship to nature and animals.
Well, since my mom was raised on a farm, animals were mostly used to supply food for the family, but and they were farmers, so they grew crops, so they respected the farmer was it, and the farmer provided food for all, and there was always a respect for animals, that they were always in a place where God wanted them to be.
Thanks for doing the interview.